And this is a TEDx production. Historically, Black communities are being gentrified, and here's how you can help. I grew up in a medium-sized neighborhood circled here, known as the Hill District, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Formerly referred to as the crossroads of the world, back in the 20th century, it was the epicenter of Black music, journalism, theater, and commerce. It's where my mom's side of the family began. We owned houses and stores, and the community was very familiar with us. Growing up, to me, the Hill was a great place to live. In fact, I still feel the same way, but when it was time for us to move, I recommended to my mother that we find another place in the Hill District to live. Her response? No. We need to get out of the hood. As I got older, I realized a lot of my childhood friends had the same mentality. Everyone wants to get out of the hood, which essentially means move to a safer community, which actually means move to a place with more white people and less Black people. But how did this mentality begin? Redlining is the systemic limitation of government services, in addition to the raising of prices in certain areas. If you didn't believe systematic racism exists, then here's one of the many systems created to systemically target Black communities. In this image, generated using U.S. Census data by Carnegie Mellon University's Create Lab. In the Pittsburgh area, many majority Black areas, such as the Hill, are covered in red, deeming them to be hazardous places. And because of this, many Black families were denied home ownership loans, making it difficult for them to buy houses. Majority white areas like Squirrel Hill, which is over here, were colored in blue and green, deeming them the best and more desirable neighborhoods to live in. This made it easier for community members to get loans to buy homes. If you look at current census maps, you can see that the effects of redlining still plague our communities today. This map displays the home ownership and rent areas from 1990 to 2010. You can see that in the Hill District, which is over here, many of the inhabitants rent their homes, but while in Squirrel Hill, which was green and blue, a majority of the inhabitants own their households. Furthermore, if you look at the races of those who live in each area, you can see that a majority of people in the Hill District are Black, which are the green dots, and a majority of those who live in Squirrel Hill are white, which are the blue dots. However, in 1961, Black-owned houses and businesses were torn down and replaced with the white-owned Mellon Arena, where concerts, sports, and circus performances took place. Eventually, the Mellon Arena was torn down and replaced by a parking lot. In 2009, Pittsburgh was chosen by President Barack Obama to host the G20 summit. Pittsburgh was considered to be a place that stood as a bold example of how to create new jobs and industries while maintaining a 21st century economy. As business began to increase downtown, the desire to live in the Hill District increased. Thus, housing complexes were torn down and replaced with newly renovated, renamed housing developments. Family homes were bought and renovated, and the rent skyrocketed. This map shows how the rent was in 1990. Mostly dark red in the Hill District, meaning it was under $200 a month. But whenever you look at 2010 to 2018, the colors here become light blue, which is over $1,000 a month, or orange and yellow, which is close to $800 a month. Low-cost living became scarce, causing Black families to become displaced, having to move to different communities that were often low-cost and worse off than where they lived before. The displacement allowed people of other races who could afford the rent to move into those Black communities. The following maps demonstrate the change in population of Black families from 1990 to 2010. Overall, there has been a significant loss of the Black community from Pittsburgh. Purple dots demonstrate a decrease, green an increase, and blue a steady population amount. And the trends continued through 2018, where in places like the Hill District, the same decrease in the Black population showed. And here's a quick fact to remember. Thank you to One Hood Media, who a speaker gave me this statistic. But in 1980, there were approximately 100,000 Black people living in Pittsburgh. And by 2010, that went down to 80,000, 2018, 75,000, 2020, 70,000. So currently, we are only about 23% of the population of Pittsburgh, and that's not a lot. And it seems to be going down each year. This is one of the projected goals for the Hill District sent out by the Urban Redevelopment Association. Their master plan for the Hill is to honor the historic and cultural legacy of African Americans in the Hill District, with an emphasis on the Lower Hill, and to include the right of return preferences for displaced individuals, families, organizations, and businesses. But what they don't say about these return policies is that the rent for these new and improved spaces for inhabitants and businesses will increase. I had a friend whose home was renovated and improved without warning. A sign was on their door one day and said something along the lines of, "We are rebuilding this apartment building. You have X number of days to relocate, and you can come back whenever the job is finished." But little did they know their rent increased, and they had to scramble to be able to afford it. In addition to the rent increase, they also have certain stipulations, including but not limited to, you could not have ever been late on your rent. You have to be a senior citizen, or you have to have been here for a certain amount of years already. And the problem with gentrification is not that places are becoming more and more like melting pots instead of mosaics, but the problem is that people who are already inhabiting the area are basically being kicked out and sent to another place that is often worse conditions than they began in. Redevelopment companies often empty promises to the community and drive low-income families out of their homes and communities. But what can we actually do about this? There are 3 steps to fighting gentrification. Step 1 would be to identify the gentrification happening in your community. Identify the problem is crucial, and it is essential to holding local governments accountable. Step 2, educate. Educate others and yourself about what gentrification means. Do research on gentrification in your areas and understand how it affects minority communities especially. Knowledge is power. And step 3, find and use your voice unapologetically. We have to use our voices as a community, and I'm sure if you have a problem with something, chances are someone is thinking the same thing. Find and use your voice, and don't feel unapologetic. Don't feel apologetic about it. My name is Amira Johnson. Thank you for watching my TED Talk, and hope that you join me in fighting gentrification. Once again, this is a production for TEDx. Everyone have a great day.